Welcome back to the Social Worker, the podcast where we talk all things child welfare, social work practice, and the real stories behind the people doing the work. I'm your host, Deandra Thomas, and today we're talking about perseverance, advocacy, and what it really means to empower social workers. Our guest today is Veronica Latchman, a field advisor at Barry University, a true advocate for social workers, and someone who's turned her own journey into a source of inspiration. She's helping future social workers study for their LCSW, sharing job opportunities, and building a safe haven for social workers. But what's most powerful about her story is the resilience. After failing the LCSW 9 times, she passed, and now she uses the experience to uplift others. Alrighty, so we are gonna jump right into it. Give us a little backstory on who you are and what drew you into the field of social work.
So my name is Veronica Latchman, officially LCSW as of January of this year. Yay. And it only took me 9 times, guys. But what drew me into the field originally was being in child welfare, thinking that I was hitting my head against the wall, not sure how to help the families. And then once going into grad program, realizing that it was more than helping the people I served. It was an opportunity to find out about me, about the lapse of services that I had growing up. And services, being a young mom and looking back, if I had these certain things, would my life be better? And wanting the same thing for those folks that I serve, because they could have been my mother, my sister, my aunt, a cousin. So, yeah, that's what drew me.
So did your social services journey start here or in New York?
In New York. I was an after-school coordinator in my neighborhood. It was under the social service department. And it was a job that I was grateful for because it was in my community. I didn't have to drive, and I could bring my children. And it was one less thing I had to worry about being a single mom and didn't have to worry about childcare. So that was an opportunity to be in my community and putting that work in, but also having my kids near.
Which job were you able to bring your children in? That's new for me. I'm interested.
Yeah, so in social services in New York, when you live in a low-income community, a lot of the building managements always had a social services. That was something that we always knew about, providing, obviously, services like they would do after school, they would do summer camp, they would do block parties, they would do Halloween parades, events bringing the community together. So that was my first job. And then noticing that, I had something to give, and every job I had was related to children. I would ask, they would ask me, is there anything else you wanted to know? I was like, can I bring my kids? And they would be like, what do you mean? I was like, well, it's an after school program. My kids are in the community. Can they attend? So they would attend. So whatever places I went, that was my first question. I'll drive to Alaska, but can my children be part of the services? So my children were able to do dance without me paying, basketball clinics, golf. A lot of the stuff that now they were like, why did you ever put us in? I was like, giving you the exposure that you wouldn't normally have.
So did you have did you obtain your bachelor's degree in social work as well, or is that something that came later on?
So my undergrad was in sociology because starting my journey in a city college in New York, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And having children young, so that was like, took a kind of a backseat, but I wanted to complete it. I got my BA in sociology because originally when I was younger, I thought I was gonna be an attorney / teacher and maybe a ballerina at the same time because I'm an overachiever.
And now you're here helping children and families. And so everybody has that why, right? You actually did a big shift. You moved from New York down to South Florida. And to me, you have been a trailblazer. Like, you came in, you got yourself acclimated, you are in the field of helping, but it looks like to me you have shifted from wanting to help the community, and now you're focusing on helping fellow social workers or people who are transitioning or going into the licensure journey. I from where I've seen you at, your name has always popped up in our group chat because you're always that person who's always dropping different job opportunities, and it doesn't be like bottom of the barrel jobs. They're ones that have good salaries, and and it's a daily thing. Like Veronica Latchman name is gonna pop up across your screen, and it's to give back to the community. So what shifted you into that path?
I feel like there are resources for our community we serve at large. Not as many as we want, but noticing how when these clients were getting services from these specialties or community agencies where there were social workers, and they would say, oh, my social worker really didn't know what she was doing. She sounded like she just was first time on the job. Or where did they go to school at? And for me, being a social worker is more than a title. It's what I am. It's what I was born to be, even if I didn't know it. And when someone says, oh, social workers, they don't really know anything. They're just people to listen to, and that's all. And it's more than that. And when I meet a social worker in networking experiences, I'm so elated. I'm like, oh my God, you're a social worker. Where did you go to school? What do you need? And when I meet someone, it's like, oh, I'm really burnt out and stuff like that. And I just wanted to see where can I, fill in that gap for them and change my resources from giving it to, hey, social worker, here's for your client. How about, hey, social workers, what can I help you to make your job better? What can I do to, filling your cup? Because when your cup is empty, you can't give anything. Mm-hmm. And I felt that me doing that makes me get up every morning thinking of like, what else can I do to help my fellow social worker? Mm-hmm. What legacy am I leaving and how to, pay forward? Because again, going into social work and being in a job that you're the only social worker, where is your peers, your cohort? Mm-hmm. Where is the people, your village? And I had to create that.
And so you are also a field advisor at Barry.
Yes, I am.
And you are now really doing what you say that your goal or your mission was. You are being that mentor. I know that you recently just passed your LCSW licensure exam. Do you want to talk about that journey? Because I know earlier you mentioned that it only took you 9 times. So let's just touch base on what that experience was like for you.
Yeah. So like I said, I graduated with my master's in 2020. Was the first graduating class that didn't walk the stage. So my graduation was via PowerPoint and on a screen. Mm-hmm. And then it was before July 1st of that year where that once you register as a registered intern, I could sit for the test without having any hours under my belt. So I said, hey, what's the best way? I was told, hey, get into a group with other fellow peers. Started studying, now looking back, I'm like, we didn't know anything. So what were we studying? How we were getting our rationales explained to us, because I didn't know. I didn't have any experience other than school. And then my first time sitting for it, and I failed, and it was like I felt deflated. And I was like, I thought everything I learned in school and everything I studied was the answer in a sense, and felt deflated. And I was like, maybe this is not meant for me. Maybe I don't need to get my license. Or imposter syndrome. Maybe, I'm not as smart as I think I am. And then taking it a second time and studying with people who failed, because that at the time was a bright idea. And I'm like, not looking back, like we all failed. What we're going to do is like, teaching others with your bad habits, and then taking a break and not realizing that there was a ticker at the end. They give you a 5-year mark and they're serious about the 5-year. And me not paying attention because, 5 years is down the line. It's not going to affect me. And I took a year break. So when I came back, I decided to do all the programs online, doing them virtually, doing boot camps, getting tutoring virtually, and then sitting for it again and say, oh, now I got people that say that they can help me and craft whatever I need to craft, and still failing. And I'm like, okay, so what am I doing wrong? And asking other social workers, like, was it difficult for you? And there's like, no, one and done. I'm like, oh God, okay, let me find someone else like me. And unless they were untruthful, I didn't find anybody that took it more than 3 times. Now I was taking it 4, and like, oh my God. And, trying to figure out the qualified supervisor, realizing that every qualified supervisor does not give you that opportunity of test prep, because some of them say, hey, I just do one-to-one and group. Test prep is not my jam, which is okay. But again, you don't know, because we're not taught to ask questions. We are not taught that, hey, when you're hiring a qualified supervisor, you should be asking, like if you're interviewing them to be your employee rather. And doing all that, and then fast forward, I met someone who said, hey, I do study prep in person. And I was like, wow. And by yourself, because I get distracted. So I would meet her on Sundays from 9 to 12 in Panero, where the most distracting things could happen. So, and she reeled me in. She kept me accountable. She aligned. The first thing she told me was like, hey, get this book, read it. And I'm like, she's not gonna ask me. First day I met her, she was like, all right, you read? I'm like, yeah. She was like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah. She was like, all right. She was like, what is this? And I was like, well, it's like, and she's like, it is or it isn't. I was like, whoa. I found somebody to keep me humble. I'm like, all right. Then she told me something that was like really cool. She was like, I know you failed before, but this is the first time you have an actual person. So this is the first time you're taking the test. So then when I studied with her, and I failed, but not by 20, but by 4. And I was like, oh, then I'm on the right track. Then I go back and 90 days later and take it again. And I get, by 4 again. And she's like, girl, I don't know what's in your way, but it's up here. She was like, you are stuck. She was like, I'm not going to charge you no more. She was like, maybe take a break, go on a vacation. You're always on cruises. Maybe you need to stop studying, because I was over studying. Everybody that met me, they were like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm studying. They were like, girl, you've studied forever. So, but then fast forward, I was told that, hey, maybe you're stuck in your brain and you need something else than study material. And I started doing EMDR. And my therapist was able to help me understand how when I learn or I take in information, and if it's not useful for me right then and there, I put it to the side. I never constantly use the information. I just leave it in a file cabinet if I don't want to address it. So knowing that and having to incorporate those ideas in every day, whether it's personal or professionally, I started using everything I learned. It makes sense. If I was using it, I'm not going to lose it. So after I did that, I went and I took the test again, and I failed by 1. And I was progress. Like, oh my God. I was excited but sad because, 7-8 times ago, I was ready, prepping myself to say, okay, when I pass, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do that. I felt like that opportunity had left me. So when I finally passed this year, I just looked at the paper. I didn't cry. I wasn't mad. I wasn't happy. That I sat in my car and I was like, I guess I just had to wait my turn. And then I called my husband. He was like, thank God. He was like, I prayed so much. He was like, I was kind of tired of talking about watching. I had Post-it boards in my bedroom as we would sleep. And he would just quiz me on stuff. And he was like, oh, I'm so happy for you. Then I called my tutor and told her thank you because she got me. So then just looking back and seeing all the stuff that I could have did different and what I shouldn't have known, I had to learn my study style. So I took an assessment. I found out that I'm audio, verbal, visual, and a tactile learner. So I had to incorporate all that.
So you have said a mouthful. There's a lot to unpack based off of your experience and what you went through dealing with this licensure exam. So I want to break it up and unpack it, right? The first thing that you said that stood out to me was interviewing the person you're going to have as your qualified supervisor. For me, I went to Barry as well. I graduated from Barry with my master's degree because I was working, and it was more so like I had already finished my curriculum, but I just needed those hours. And during that time, I can't really, it was in during COVID, but a lot of the hours are there's no after hours. So it was 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. And it was like, how am I going to do this when I'm working? So I had to end up leaving my investigative job because I'm like, I'm done with school. It's just these hours. So I had to end up leaving and going back into school. But even then, it's just like, okay, I'm just here to do my license because I need to get back to work. I need to get my master's. I need to walk across this stage so I can go on to the next chapter of my life. So it's like I did not really embrace my master's experience. It was like book, work. So when it was time for me to graduate, I wasn't handheld. I didn't have a mentor to tell me, okay, this is what you need. It literally was when I moved back down here, because at a point in time, I was like, okay, I'm okay with my master's. I'm not even going to pursue getting licensed. I did 1 year, but then when I moved to Tallahassee, I started with an agency, didn't follow through with getting licensed because it was like, you have to go and do field hours, and I wasn't doing therapy. So it was a lot of things that I didn't know up until I met with my director up there. And she was like, you supervise cases on a day-to-day basis. Your clinical hours are what you make it, and you still have the ability to do so. But, life's, and I didn't do it. But one thing you said, because I want to reel it back in, was that it is important to interview who you're going to have be your qualified supervisor, asking those right questions, because I didn't do that. I'm like, okay, who's available? I'm going to do it. And when somebody referred me to someone, and eventually I'll interview her. But when I went to her, I was like, I want you. She was like, no, you don't know if me and you are going to be a right fit. Like, tell me what your interests are, because I'm not even accepting people right now. I was like, no, they referred me to you. I want you. She was like, but there may be somebody else who's better aligned with you and who can cater to the needs that you want. So I was like, okay. So I told her, and she referred me to somebody. She's like, she's a mom. She has child welfare experience, and she's aligned with what your professional goals are. So that is a big thing that I think was missed for me, not having or not knowing that you're about to pay somebody some money and you need to interview them to see if they are the right fit for you. And something you said that I didn't pay attention to was seeing if they offer that test prep. Thankfully, the person that I'm under now, they do offer that, but it's just so many different things. Or even when you get out into the field, you still need that mentorship, because there's a lot that you don't know. And, as for you, you're so knowledgeable in that area. Like even our first conversation that we had in the phone, it's like you have a heart to serve. You were hearing about my interests and just adding on as to what I can do, what you think will be more beneficial for me, or how this podcast experience will be even more beneficial for me from what I'm doing now. And it's like, I didn't have a you fresh out of college.
I didn't have a me out of college.
Yeah. And it's like, the fact that you're at Barry and now you are a field advisor, you have the ability to pour into these students who are entering the workforce. You're able to let them know, because I know you said that if you had to do it again, you don't even know if you would have still got licensed. Do you still feel like that today?
Sometimes I do, because I feel like licensed people think that is only for therapy, and that is, I want to build a private practice. And because no one's telling you the other options you can do with your license, people are like, I'm just a macro worker. But not knowing that with this license, I can be the heart to your corporate agency. I can be the quality heart person to make sure that all the checks and balances are there. And because no one is saying it, it's like when you hear like, oh, you're a social worker, then you're a therapist. There's nothing else. And I want to show different faces of what social work is. It could be anything. You can create that role for you in your job. It's just up to you to do it.
Yeah. So you have now started everything social work, right? And I know I'm going to piggyback back to all of that beautiful information you provided us about the licensure process, but you did start off and branch off your own business called Everything Social Work. She actually brought me a gift.
Yes, I
Show
did.
the gifts. She's the first guest that has brought me a gift.
I mean,
But
you can't meet somebody and not gift them something.
well, I will say, everybody who comes on the podcast, they're them being here is a gift for me. So
I always
I
told
appreciate
you have
it.
to come with a gift. You never come empty-handed.
So tell us about Everything Social Work.
So everything social work started when once I graduated, once I got my licensure, and it's like, okay, now what am I gonna do with all this? And trying to figure out what was good for me, what was good in my lane, and not trying to compare me to others, and what would make me happy, because I'm trying to create something that it'll be here even when I'm not. So I'm like, I would sit and talk to people and be like, hey, I want to do this. And trying to figure out what this is was difficult, because I'm like, I don't want to do therapy. I'm okay with group therapy. Do I want to work in a community health? Do I want to this? I'm like, I really don't want to work with clients. I love clients, but I want to help people like me, the younger version of me. And I'm like, I just want to do everything, but just for social workers. And that's where it branded. And then my husband assisted me with getting my LLC, my EIN, and trying to figure out what my logo is. And it's a butterfly. And now sitting thinking about it, I love butterflies, and then remembering how a butterfly becomes. You start off like a caterpillar, and then eventually you transform into a beautiful butterfly. And I guess that's my journey. And creating it. So my first, I guess, part of it is, filling into other social workers who want the test prep in person. Because if you see it, everyone is doing a virtual still. And I feel we're social workers. We need to be social in person. And that's how I learned. And once I did my LinkedIn, I guess, testimonial, I got people reaching out. Oh my God, it sounded like you were telling my story. Because I'm like, I felt like a unicorn. I was the oddball. I was here looking and, hey, is anybody else like me? And no one, said anything. But I was like, let me be brave and share my story. And people will reach out. Hey, can I study with you? Can you help me? And I was like, sure. It started out in the gazebo in my house. Strangers coming to my house. And my husband said, you think this is a good idea? I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, yeah, you watch all these criminal shows, And I was like, all right, we did that. And we started doing it on Sundays, and people would come. And sometimes people would say, hey, I have my kids. I'm like, are they old enough that if you're sitting here study that they can play along? Because it was right by the playground. And they were like, yeah, that's fine. So they would come and bring their kids. Bring snacks, and we did it there for, I would say, about 6-7 months. And then my next group of people, one of the students was like, hey, you ever thought about going to Nova? They have study groups. And I was like, I don't go to Nova. They were like, no, it's a community library. You can get a card as long as you're a Broward resident and reserve the rooms. And since then, we've been doing it. And my first group that I started with, one of my students who I didn't know was a first-time tester, she took the test and she passed it. So that was my first. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then I'm like, okay, let me recreate it. So making sure that people have personalized study plans. What's realistic for you? What's your learning style? Do you learn visually, verbal, all that? And having that real conversations with them. It's like, before you pay me, I want to let you know this is what I can offer you. Is that something you could do? Because other people,
I have to stop you here before I forget, because you brought it back up again. I think one of the biggest pieces is, one, you saying that you made it individualized. Like, you still use therapeutic modalities for your business. You didn't just say, okay, it's a one size fit all thing. You said, okay, if I'm not the right fit for you, I'm not the right fit for you. Like, what's your learning style? Can you accommodate that? Because sometimes, and I want to say, like, me coming back down here and having that experience with the person who I first interviewed to be my qualified supervisor, it never dawned on me that, it's not just about paying to get through the process. Like, you have to be able to have takeaways from this. It's an experience, the person has to be able to pour back into you. And at this point, I feel like it's you and your 9 times that you took the test. It is a testimony because, like you said, there's not a lot of people who speak about that. Some people feel like, okay, you don't need to get licensed, but I know a person who literally ended up losing employment because they didn't get licensed in a reasonable amount of time. And sadly, that it's, you get your master's, they say you technically don't have to get licensed, but the reality is, if you want to make the money you want to make, licensure is the way. And it doesn't matter how many times you have to take the test, you just have to keep persevering like you did. So it's different because now whoever comes and sit in your chair or sit in your study group, you've already walked that path and probably have walked the path 9 times more than them. So you have so much to pour into them. And it's not for you, or for how I see it is, it's not profit, it's passion. You do it because you have a passion to help. You have a passion to serve. And, how long have you been doing this now?
Since I passed. So this year, January, I sat with somebody and I was tweaking how I would study and what worked for me. And then she was like, you know what? I think the way we were doing stuff and the little things you did here and there, I think it would work for somebody else. And then I just went on LinkedIn, told my testimony, and people like, can I study with you? And I got like 3 people. And I was like, all right, I don't think I can make this a business, but I'm going to pour into somebody else because I wish somebody did that to me. And when I saw that the first person that reached out to me, and I literally told her, and I'm like, if life is lifing, don't waste your time sitting for a test because you're going to be distracted. And she was like, no, I could do it. And I was like, I'm going to give you my professional opinion. Do not take this test. And she took it and she failed it. And then she came back and she was like, when you told me not to, I did it. And I said, all right, I need you to put you first because we're so used to putting everybody first. And when she literally signed up for her test, she did what I told her. And she came back. She was like, you were right. She was like, I had to put me first because I'm that person for everybody. And I was like, when you're that person for everybody, people don't like to hear no because we never say no. We say yes before we even think of what is being asked. So, learning that is important. Life happens, things happen. We just gotta, keep it moving. But again, sometimes you need to pause that because that's important to you. You want to put the right energy into, you can't if things are up in chaos.
And so do you only test people in Florida, or are you open to other states as well?
So, since I do it in person for people in the neighboring counties, if they're willing to drive, because God forbid somebody from Miami has to drive to Broward. It's like a whole to-do. Broward. But people I have in the neighboring is in person. I have 2 people. One is actually in Cape Coral, and I have someone in New York, because it's the same state, the same test nationally. The difference is Florida is the only one with the time constraint. Like, we're only allowed 5 years. So someone in New York in another state can take it 2,500 times. As long as they pass it, they can get licensed. So I am interested.
That's a fun fact for me. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. I know you sat on the board, and I'm going to keep it very limited. And if you can't share it, don't share it. I can always get that, piece
No worries.
taken out. But is there is there any policies being made to remove that time constraint if all the other states are doing it?
I don't think that's a priority for them. I think the idea was that we have so many people registered as interns, thriving, making money out of businesses, right? So when it hit the fan, everybody that was a registered intern who had private businesses, who are in their 60s now, are rushing to take this test and didn't meet, were able to, they weren't given extra time unless your job was gonna, let you go. And if you didn't, people had to close their private practice. And for me, I think it's a money thing. I mean, why do you have limits? It doesn't make sense. You're going to get money whether you want to or not. But, their concern right now and all the forces is to the compact, to be able to do telehealth in another state. Every state else, I would say a handful of them. I think the last time I looked, it was like 32 states that were on board with the compact so that they can, do telehealth in another state, Florida. They brought it up to the House. It was approved, but it never went farther than that. I don't know why Florida's taking so long to do it.
Okay. So how much does it cost to study with you?
So I do two things because I do a 10-week program because people like time constraints. Like I just want what I need and really fast. So 10 weeks, I charge $40. And then I do tutoring, and that's just me and you. Group is like me and I would say the biggest number I've ever had in a group was 10.
Okay.
And that's my max because I think after that, it's too distracting. It's supposed to be small and comfortable so that you can get what you need.
The maximum gain.
Yeah, maximizing the potential in that room. For tutoring, I do right now is $40 an hour, minimum of 2 hours, and I do them at night. So sometimes I do 6:30 to 8, 8:30 to 10:30, depending on what your needs are. Because some people come and say, hey, my test is like next month. Can you help me? I'm like, wow. I was like, look, I'm going to be honest. And, what you have been studying. What have you been doing? And, people are like, just take their money. Why are you asking all these questions? I said, because it's more than the money for me. It's my name. Those are walking advertisements right there. I could take somebody's money and feel great spending it. But to me, like you said, it's more than the money. It's my passion that I'm filling into somebody, that I made a difference.
So Everything Social Work also does events, right?
Yes.
I see that you have a cruise coming up.
Yes.
So let's talk about the cruise.
So the cruise, I'm always cruising, and that's how I feel into myself and disconnect. Because when you're in the ocean, unless you get the internet package, which I'm not, I'm sunbathing and people watching, which are my two favorites.
People watching.
I love to watch people.
My husband does that.
I said people watch, and I just look at people, and I don't have the most come talk to me face, but people happen to come talk to me and tell me their business. But I felt like people were asking me, oh my God, you're going on cruises. And I was like, you know what? Anybody interested in going on a cruise with me for the weekend, from a Friday to a Monday to the Bahamas, leaving from Miami? And they're like, yeah, sure. So I called my cruise planner and I was like, hey, can you tell me the amounts for this and this on March 20 to the 23rd? And she gave me the information and I shared it. And as of today, I have 20 cabins booked from all types of social workers and their families and friends. And people are like, oh, can I bring so-and-so? I'm like, I don't own the ship. But I told them, sure, the more the merrier. And I'm sharing it with anybody that's a social worker anywhere. And they want to come and be able to disconnect from the world and just be us. And that Saturday that we're on sea, we're going to be doing a networking activity. Just haven't thought of what it is yet because I want to make sure that it's enough of us. They're coming with families and kids. Let them enjoy the day and us for like 2-3 hours being in a room and see what would be the next, opportunity to put social workers in a room.
So you have a Christmas event coming up as well.
This is my second year doing it. We're doing it in Oakland Park. The space is actually sponsoring the space for us.
Nice.
So that's less out of my pocket because I pay for everything. And my walking bank, my husband, he's like, okay, yes, don't worry about it. So we're doing it in Oakland Park in a new high rise. It's called Sky Building. It's across the street, diagonal from the city of Oakland Park, City Hall building, but the new building is across the street. So it's real nice. It's December 6th, Saturday from 6 to 10 p.m. and I'm selling tickets. There's going to be a DJ. There's going to be a photo booth. We're having raffles of gift baskets that I'm getting sponsors from different companies. So it's going to be a fun thing.
Nice. I have to sponsor you a gift basket.
Yes, that
Yes,
would be
I
lovely.
So you have, I think it's very interesting that you have found your niche in social work. You didn't do the standard therapy, or you, and I always tell everybody, I feel like if you don't know what to do, because that's how I started. Like my mom's like, what are you going to do when you go to college? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going because you told me I have to go to college. But my family was already social workers, and I was like, okay, if all they're doing fine, they're pretty successful in their field, let me just try social work. And as I got into the field, as I started learning more and more about it, like you can get your, that's, I think it's the, if you want to do therapy, you can be a therapist with your social work degree. After you get your bachelor's, you go to the master's degree program. You can get it within 7 months to a year. I'm like, oh yeah, I knew I made the right decision. You know, quick, fast, in a hurry. I'm going to be able to do it and do therapy. But then I learned that social work field was so broad that you didn't have to do therapy. You can do literally whatever you want, and you can navigate the different sectors. You can do forensic case management. You can do therapy. You can start your own business in it. It's all about what you do. I feel like social work is, you can't go wrong with the degree, because if you wake up tomorrow and say, I want to do something else, or I'm bored with this sector, you have the ability to transition. Like you can go back to school and become a nurse now, because they have the ability, like if you have a degree already, you can go in and get your BSN on an accelerated track. So that was a fun fact for me to know too. So it's like, for me, social work, it works because you're not limited. And like how you said, one day you wanted to be a ballerina, that was me too. It's like, I don't know what I want to do. I want to maybe wake up. I don't want to be tied into an area. If I want to say, I don't want to do child welfare anymore, I know that I have the ability to go and serve the substance abuse population. I can go and work with the mental health population. I think that a social work degree is interchangeable. You use it everywhere you go, whether that's in the classrooms, whether that's working with families. I know you can't, you made a post the other day saying that everybody just can't call their self a social worker. We all may have things about ourselves that are like gifts to serve, but you can't walk around saying, hey, I'm a social worker. Only if you have went to school and obtained your degree in social work, you can do that. But it is one of those things that I believe when you have went through the social work program within itself, it is life-changing things that you take with you beyond the classroom. In every area you go to in life, these are things that you take with you, whether it's in your profession, whether it's with your children. Because sometimes even with my kids, I'm like, I have to remember I'm a social worker, and I'm trying to to apply, what I've learned in class into my household. And, it has made me become more self-aware, because I'm like, yeah, as a matter of fact, this takes me back to something you said earlier about how you went to do EMDR therapy. And I think it's so key to know that even therapists need therapists. Like, it doesn't matter what degree you have.
I was definitely against it, because in school, learning about the different tapping, I'm like, I'm not doing that EBGB stuff. I am not participating in any of that. And tapping and regulating and all this, I was like, that does not look like something I signed up for. Thank you. But then, being a person in the community that we serve, no one talks about mental health. We don't do that. That's not our thing. And when you go to a social worker, a therapist, or a mental health professional, it's never for a good thing. It's not just to see checking in. It's like something devastating happened, or you did something and this is what happened. So just being a face when people hear me, and some of my students, I had one, and when I talked to him, he was trying to be so professional in talking to me. I was like, bro, relax. I need you to talk normal. He was like, oh, ma'am. And then he just started talking. He was like, I didn't know you were like a little hood. And I was like, AKA hood therapist here. I'm okay. I understand your English. It's okay. And he is like, oh, thank you. So now he every time he calls me or texts me, he's like, I want to check in with you, sis. And I'm like, all right, what's good? Let's go. And he was like, thank you for being real. And he's like, I was afraid I was going to find somebody who's going to be so stuffy that it was going to make my experience, not what I want it to be. Because again, we need to meet where our clients are, whether they're students, where other professionals, because sometimes we forget that, we also have our own needs and we also have our own triggers, our own traumas. And I felt like going to school was my $80,000 trauma, therapy right there. Because I was like, why do I do stuff like this? And then realizing, oh, because this happened, and seeing how there's reasons why we do things and where we get called to, and not knowing. And that was my aha moment, thinking I was going to go serve people and get, all the checks in the boxes so that, I can be the best therapist or social worker. And then realizing I was healing myself as I was going. So it was definitely a journey, to say that.
And it's, as therapists or social workers, licensed mental health clinicians, any professional that deals with pouring into other people, countertransference is a real thing. And I think I stress this enough to fellow colleagues, like, it's okay to take a step back so you can take a step forward, because you have to make sure you're okay. If you're pouring into other people, you have to make sure you're okay. Even as having a therapist, I look at it as also like having an accountability partner, because they will be the one to say, hey, you need to self-care. Like, I just did my group supervision, and we always do like a self-care check-in, and it's like a list of questions and you just count. And I was just like so embarrassed. I'm like, you know what? I'm not reporting this month. I'll report next month, because I just had to realize that the month just went by so quick and I didn't get a chance to do anything for me. So I had to, and that's how the social worker was even birthed, because I'm like, what is it that I want to do? I think I'm like you. It's like, I've tried therapy. I've done the therapy with people, and I'm just like, okay, therapy is a lot. Hearing or having 40 people sit in your chair and then turning around having to do the notes behind it. I mean, my supervisor does it and she's a beast at it. She's great at what she does, but I'm like, I don't think that's my calling. That's not my lane. So I'm like, what is it that I want to do? And I'm like, I just feel like social workers are unsung heroes, because nobody gets to see all of the work that we do. Nobody gets to, when it makes the headlines, that's it. There's no follow through. If DCF gets on the headline for something tragic happening, there's no, oh, hey, this family that was almost TPR'd, or this tragic situation happened with this family. There's no, this family was reunified. There's no, that DCF actually came in and saved the day, or they actually helped bring a family from their lowest point back to their highest. So that's where this space came about, because as social workers, one, the field is so broad. We all do so many different things. Two, and I think what your story is perseverance. We have to continue to persevere, because licensure is a thing. Like, it's one of those things that it can fall to the wayside, because it did with me. I'm like, I don't want to sit through another year of having to, because I have 1 year under my belt, but I still have to do another year. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just do it, because I don't want to be in a position where I didn't. Now I'm like, oh my gosh.
Now you need it.
Now I need it. So I think one thing you said was the price that you charge. But I think it's also important to remember that you have to, just like you invest into your nails, your hair, you have to invest into your future goals.
Just a Starbucks cup every day.
Exactly. So like, people hear the price and or say, oh, I don't want to do a study group, because that's additional money that has to be spent, when that can be what's needed for you to pass this test. If you have failed the test, and this is just my perception, right? Because I don't know if it was yours. I seen something that said $300, and I was like, that's a lot of money. And then when I thought of it, I'm like, you know what? In life, you invest into what you need. So if that's something that you're serious about, and I believe that every social worker or MSW candidate or already who's already in the practice needs to be serious about obtaining your licensure, because you just never know when you'll need it. You never know what other opportunities will be presented to you because of your licensure. And just like you said, if you have to take it 9 times, take it until you pass it. And I know people who have just said, you know what, I don't even need it. It is what it is. But I think your story is a testament to it's never too late to pick up and try again and to continue to persevere. So this is your space today. So I want to know, do you have anything that you want to leave with any fellow social workers, students in school to become social workers? What would you want to leave with them today?
So I was thinking really hard last night. I even had to call my best friend. I was like, what are the imparting, impactful, intentional, purposeful thing I need to say? And driving down here in traffic, I was like, God.
Welcome to Miami.
Yeah. I was thinking, just make sure that this is your lane. Just because it seems easy. Oh, I talk to people, I can do that. I'm making sure this is your profession. And once you figure out this is your profession, you need to make a plan. Okay, when I go into school, I'm going to take X amount of classes, and these are the internships I'm going to take. Because once I graduate, these are the places I want to interview and eventually end up in a job in. Because if you're working at something non-social work, non-case management, how are you expected to get that experience other than internship? So I tell my students, hey, what's your end game? What does that look like for you in 2 years? Don't wait until the month before you graduate. Say, oh, you know what? I think I want to work in a school, but your internship was in a mental health practice. Put that into work now. You got to put those little steps in now and transition into you to what you're thinking. If you want to be a case manager, start working in a case management agency. If you want to work at DCF, start doing that now. Don't wait. Because people are like, oh, but I make great money. Okay, so wherever you start from the bottom, and you eventually get the money. It's up to you, your passion. Second thing, make sure when you're looking for a qualified supervisor, they align with you, with your goals, with the field that you're in. Because I notice that everyone is a qualified supervisor, but who's a qualified supervisor that knows what child welfare? I don't want to spend an hour explaining what I do and what my steps on doing it, and the intervention is not going to be there because I got to explain it to you, compared to someone that's been in my shoes. I can say, hey, I have a case, I have a JR or a TPR. They already know the acronyms. I don't have to, teach, child welfare 101. And I think that's important. And ask questions. How much do you charge? How often? Is it in person? Is it virtual? Other than that, what else do you provide? Do you test prep? Do you do study groups? Is it in person? How much? If things are coming through the door about the test, will you keep me abreast? Because January 2026, they're already talking about changing the test already. So people are mad dashing it to get, test dates now. And pretty much, if you're burnt out, maybe you need to take a couple of steps, fill in your cup and revisit on what your social work looks. It doesn't have to always look the same way until your end. It can be 17 different things you can create within your scope. And the last thing for licensure, I was just thinking about it now, how, I'm going to date myself. I'm 50. And just to let you know, when graduating
you
from
look
high
great
school,
for 50.
I passed my LCSW, then I turned 50. Look at that. And it was Kismet. I was like, I'm watching him. He was like, wait, 50? Okay, yes, 50, and 2 adult kids, 3 grandbabies. For the license, getting it, I think it's important because at one time and point back when I was in high school, getting a high school degree was the thing. Everybody needed it. It was like, you need to get that, you get a job. And then once I graduated, an AA was the next degree. If you got a high school, that means really nothing. That's just a paper. An AA, you can get any job. And then when people were no longer getting AA, it was a BA. So every year and some change, the degrees keep going up. So at one point right now, master's might be it. But then the next thing might be like, oh, you get your master's, that's okay. It's like a high school diploma. But if you get your license, then that's where the money is. So might as well go before and do it now before those obstacles come. So, and that's my parting word.
Well, thank you for that. You said a mouthful this whole episode, but you have left us with a lot of gems. This episode today was strictly for us social workers because there's a lot of things that need to be touched on. Like I said, I feel like you are a gem to have. Therefore, all of your information will be listed down below on how people can connect with you and can register for all of the other events that you have coming up. Even if it's not for this year, it'll be for next go round. So I want to thank you for joining us on this episode. And I look forward to seeing you continue to break barriers, continue being a trailblazer, and setting the tone for the next generation of social workers to come.
Thank you.
Today's story is a reminder that failure isn't the end. It's a part of the process, and that we as social workers are stronger when we support each other. For everyone listening, I hope you leave this conversation inspired to keep pushing, whether if it's for your exam, your career, or the communities you've served. If you like today's episode, make sure to subscribe and share it with a fellow social worker. And follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, stay encouraged and stay connected.